Sometimes there are things that just make you say, Sometimes you happen to notice something and you just have to ask, what exactly was that fool thinking? Or what that fool be thinking in the vernacular. And sometimes, even though you put your best foot forward and best effort into a successful plan, you have to stop and say to yourself, that really didn't go the way that it went in my head. Or you could just tell your homies that you meant to do that. But you have to know deep down, only a true friend will tell you the truth. And nobody believes that you meant to fall flat on your ass while macking at the club. The honeys may love a brother who can make them laugh, but no fine foxy mama is looking to hook up with the slapstick king or the Three Stooges. So please, just stop, because you're only fooling yourself. Survey says, bog. Let's just say, in the vernacular, I be keeping it real. Or like the black broadcast journalist Gil Noble used to say, I like to tell folks like it is. And it should be pretty obvious by now, if you are still listening, that like Karen White said, I'm not your superwoman. Robert Winters may be able to pull a rabbit out from a hat, make it disappear like that. But I am not your magic man. Still, like the godfather of soul, James Brown said, you are living in America. And I believe it was the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, who said, the only one who could ever teach me was the son of a preacher man. The only one who could ever reach me was the son of a preacher man. And if you are woke, like most folks seem to say these days, you may have noticed that in a pandemic crisis, Gwen Guthrie might be able to tell you best, with 43% of black businesses closed forever, 1/5 of churches closed permanently, fatalities to a novel coronavirus that some even claim was bigger than God. The God of your weary years, the God of your silent tears, the thou who had brought you thus far on the way. There ain't nothing going on now but the rent. And you gotta have a J-O-B if you wanna be with me or anyone. Cause like they said back at Cooley High, I thought we'd get to celebrate tomorrow, but tomorrow has gone away, and it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. Let the church say, keep Mike Webb away from our school. Can I get an amen? Today we use the science, and according to statistics, for over half a century, since public education became available to colored folks like you, even in segregated schools, by every testing metric, if you are a person of color, more likely than not, if you are even in a high-performing school or college with professor grades on the curve, you are on the bottom of that bell curve and inside what can be fairly described as an achievement gap. And even if you are personally excelling, just like that police officer you swear is going to kill you for being caught black in America, before you ever arrive late or early to your first day of class, your teacher is an educated person who has read at least that science and has probably seen your statistics. And just like there is a thing called the Pygmalion effect that might enable an English gentleman like Rex Harrison to dress up Julie Andrews into a My Fair Lady, teaching her to say beautiful phrases like the rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain, so that they could have danced all night. There is also what is described as a Golem effect, and empirical statistics suggest that even in Arlington public schools, if your teachers, administrators, and school board members are unable to recognize that they outnumber their peers of color in the functions that they serve and capacities, it is highly unlikely that even colorblind by profession, they will be able to distinguish you from the mean average that has been established by the science. Do the math. Keep Mike Webb away from our schools. If everything in your single parent family, your economic disadvantage, your subsidized meal, and the rest of these structural arguments in your critical race theory tends to validate a conclusion as you ride on that bus to school from just a mile away that you are disadvantaged, you can sing "We shall overcome" until justice comes down like rushing waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. But affirmative action notwithstanding, it will never ever eliminate your achievement gap or the consistent failures of assessors for special education who, according to an independent study completed just back in 2003, found that they consistently fail to distinguish between cultural differences and cognitive impairment. And if, even after the name on a school building has been changed to something less offensive to the ears, and your delicate sensibilities by committees that didn't even have persons of color of any significant representation, you were thinking that as a black person, things are so far down that even down looks up and it's time to go off and smoke your weed, just turn to your Latino classmates in Arlington Public School who tend to score better than you on most of those standardized tests that you call culturally biased, like you have been told to do by people that you want to teach you your black history, and you will find that they are still about 10 times less likely to graduate than you. And English is not even the first language, very often, of even their parents. A lot of educated folks these days believe in using the science. Only a fool in a pandemic crisis would deny the science. And it is a fact that down in the former capital of the Confederacy, Richmond, Virginia, where black folks comprise about 43% of the population, by every statistical measure of those Black Lives Matter activists who took to the streets in a pandemic to tear down statues and calling for justice, talking about a brother who could not breathe, over 60% of those descended from African kings may have survived 400 years of oppression and built this nation, but they have now gone home to be with God, swinging low, sweet chariots coming for to carry them home. Maybe like Samuel Jackson in the Tarantino film Pulp Fiction said when he decided to walk the earth like Cain, "Little grasshopper, you have come to that moment experienced by some alcoholics that is called a moment of clarity." Maybe like the king of pop once said, "You were singing in your best gospel choir voice. You know, I'm looking at the man in the mirror and I'm asking him to change his ways." Maybe like Billy Preston, by now you took a look at your calculator, did the math, and found an epiphany that nothing from nothing leaves nothing. Maybe you hung up the phone on the weather girls who were telling you that it was raining men because you turned on the news and got the news report that it may be raining in Georgia, but you believe it's raining all over the world. Or maybe you were staying at home enjoying Netflix, and enjoying an old Spike Lee classic, and heard Lawrence Fishburne in School Days sound the alarm, wake up, and you turned to your neighbor and said, "The brother is talking to me. KSSGO, amigo, what's up with that, yo?" If you don't know it by now, you ain't never gonna know it. No. Keep Mike Webb away from our schools. So let's just keep it real, yo. Let's do the math. Let's not deny the science. Brethren and sistren, you got a pandemic crisis by statistics. If you are a person of color, that's not a good thing, and church and school are closed. Does Jesus care? That's up to you. But there's an old story in the Bible about a prodigal son who ran through all of his inheritance, playing the fool with his friends until he found himself eating slop with the pigs. But he had a loving father to go home to. And by statistics, you have a broken family. You know the signs. By statistics, you watch 2 times more television than anyone in America, and your favorite television shows are Monday Night Football and Family Feud. They aren't going to get you a job or anything else, but at least you can have some fun. By statistics, you are not the most discerning of all people, and accept what you hear on the news as gospel and actually believe that you have a personal relationship with the reporters who you believe are your best friends. And I know you want to march for justice. I know you are demanding your reparations. I know that you believe that big government can help you with entitlement programs. And I know that you believe that you are oppressed. But Billie Holiday used to say, God bless the child who's got his own. Who's got his own. Now you may have heard of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. And most, even on a Family Feud survey, would agree that he was really black. And long before he was chilling up at the Willard Hotel before telling America about a dream that he had, Doc, as his friends used to call him, was sitting in a jail cell down in Birmingham, Alabama, writing a very famous letter about why he had come down to the city of Birmingham. And he said that he had come to Birmingham because justice was there. He said that injustice anywhere was a threat to justice everywhere. And he said a whole lot of great things that sound good about what he would do by himself to address injustice, even if nobody else dared to follow him. But he got to a point in his letter when he started to look outward like a responsible parent might do. And he pondered the question of how does a father tell his little girl who wants to go to the newly opened amusement park that she simply cannot because Funtown is closed to colored folks? Well, child, Santa Claus is not coming to town. Christmas is not coming this year. There is no Tooth Fairy or Easter Bunny. The check is not in the mail, and Grandma has gone home to live with Jesus. It would not be wholly incredible to speculate that most persons in Arlington, where no Republican presidential candidate prevailed in a general election since Ronald Reagan in 1980, to suggest that most parents and voters in Arlington would agree with the current president on most things. And if you agree with Joe Biden, you will agree that even though, like him, I grew up in a black church, I ain't really black. And that is something with which I must come to terms with myself. I can't play basketball or football to save my life. I can't dance. I don't attend black church anymore. And there comes a time when you just have to say, baby, it's not you, it's me. Perhaps the former First Lady Michelle Obama said it best in that logic expressed so exactly in the vernacular phrase, it is what it is. Cory Booker will tell you that you don't want to be sipping on Kool-Aid and not even know the flavor. So where are my dogs at? Roof, roof, roof. Now turn to your neighbor and say the preacher's kid is talking to me. Dog, or is that Peeps? I really couldn't tell you because I ain't really black. But at least in the movie Primary Colors, the screenplay adaptation of the anonymously published book by a Democrat journalist, Joe Klein, about the election of Bill Clinton, who everybody believes is a brother, played by John Travolta, playing the character Governor Jack Stanton, dressed a cloud of loyal Democrat voters at a labor union meeting and said that he was going to do something really, really wild and was going to tell the truth. And he told those blue-collar workers, union members, representatives, that he was not going to lie to them about their jobs and that the jobs upon which they had relied for a century in a technology-driven age were simply not coming back. And nothing that he might say or do was going to change that fact. So they would have to be willing to make some changes, use their heads, and do the heavy lifting to turn things around and make their dreams in America great again. And in that movie, he said it was going to be hard on them, but if they were willing to do the work, he would be there to help them. But my mama didn't raise no fool, and I ain't your mama. If when the roof is on fire, you want to say we don't need no water, let the mother burn. Burn, mother burn, which isn't even English. That's on you. Keep Mike Webb away from my schools. Keep Mike Webb away from my schools. And thank you for your support. This advertisement was authorized by Mike Webb. This is a no-brainer, folks. It doesn't get any easier than this. My name is Major Mike Webb. By God, I am running for Arlington Public School. End of the day, I really don't give a damn. It's not my department, honest. And y'all come back now. Here, honest.